dancing. Right there on your screen, laughing, moving, completely alive. 24-year-old Diana Skies was on TikTok Live on the night of February 3rd, 2026, doing what she loved most: entertaining the people who adored her, nearly 200,000 of them. Her neighbor Shan was watching that stream in real time. Just another normal night, scrolling through the feed, catching Diana being Diana, full of energy, full of light. Then, without warning, the stream cut off. No goodbye. No, see you later, just gone. Sean waited. 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Still nothing. She tried calling. The phone rang out. She tried again. Same thing. She sent messages. No reply. Now, for most people, going offline for a few hours is nothing unusual. But anyone who truly knew Diana understood one thing. Diana did not just disappear. Not like this. Not without a word. Hours passed. The silence grew heavier. By the time anyone got to her apartment in Kianja, Kampala, the front door was wide open. And inside, covered in her bed as though she were simply sleeping, was Diana. She had been strangled to death. Her home had been robbed. And the person responsible? He wasn't someone who broke in from the outside. He wasn't a random face from the street. Before we go any further, subscribe and drop a comment right now. Where are you watching from? And have you ever had that gut feeling that something was terribly wrong before you even knew why? Because Diana's neighbors had that feeling too. And what they found when they followed it will stay with you long after this video ends. But her real name was Diana Namulinde. But online, the world knew her by two names: Diana Skies and Ka Richwife. Both names carried weight. Diana Skies was the creator, the face, the brand, the personality that hundreds of thousands of people tuned in to watch. Ka Richwife was the image: glamorous, successful, living well. Together, they painted the picture of a young woman who had figured something out that most people her age were still searching for. She was 24 years old. She lived alone in Nicholas Apartments, Uganda. No partner, no children, just a young woman, her phone, her camera, and a vision she was quietly turning into reality. Diana built her presence on TikTok and Instagram with clear purpose. On TikTok, she had grown her following to over 175,000 people. On Instagram, over 70,000 more followed her every post. Combined, nearly 200,000 people were watching her life unfold in real time. That is not luck. That is work. Her content covered fashion, beauty, lifestyle, and travel. She posted from luxury locations. She showed off designer clothes. She shared birthday gifts that included stacks of cash. She documented international trips and made it all look effortless. But behind every post was a deliberate decision. Diana understood branding. She understood her audience. She knew exactly what she was building and why. Her Instagram bio said it plainly: creator, makeup artist, designer. God first. Beyond content creation, she ran a small business selling jewelry, shoes, bags, and perfumes. She was not just an influencer. She was an entrepreneur. What made Diana stand out was not just what she posted. It was how she posted it. She was consistent. She was intentional. She treated social media the way most people treat a 9-to-5 job, except she had built it entirely on her own terms. No manager. No team. Just Diana. She kept her private life tightly guarded. Very little is publicly known about her family, her childhood, or where she grew up. She never spoke openly about her parents or siblings. She did not share details about her education or her early years. That part of her life stayed behind closed doors, and she kept it that way on purpose. The people who knew her personally described her as determined and forward-looking. She had goals. She had plans. She was not the kind of person who drifted through life waiting for things to happen. She made things happen. But here is the part that matters for this story. The same success that made Diana an inspiration to thousands of young African women also made her visible in ways she may not have fully considered. The cash, the designer items, the luxury lifestyle posted for the world to see. Her followers saw a role model. Someone else saw something else entirely. Diana was building a future. She was 24, living alone, and just getting started. And someone in her own building was watching. February 3rd, 2026 started like any other day for Diana Namulinde. She got dressed, baggy jeans, a pink crop top, picked up her phone, and did what she had done hundreds of times before. She filmed herself. She danced. She smiled for the camera with the kind of ease that only comes from someone completely comfortable in their own skin. She posted it to TikTok, and her followers responded the way they always did, with love, with comments, with views. That video is still online today. But it is no longer just content. It is the last record of Diana Namulinde alive. Earlier that same day, Diana had opened WhatsApp and sent a message to her best friend, Ray's. The conversation was simple and warm. Two friends making plans. Diana wanted to meet up on Friday, February 6th. Ray's agreed. They had something to look forward to. Neither of them knew that Friday would not go the way they planned. Diana also posted on Instagram that day. The caption she chose was not random. It read, "Diana means perfect light, a goddess of fire." Those were her last words to the world in writing. And looking back now, they feel like something more than just a caption. That night, Diana was alone in her apartment at Nicholas Apartments, Quata Zone, Kayanja Ward. The building had security. She had no reason to believe she was in danger. But sometime during the night of February 3rd, someone entered her home. What followed was violent and brutal. Police would later confirm that Diana's apartment was robbed. This was not a quiet theft while she slept. Diana fought back. The evidence made that clear. There were visible signs of a struggle. Blood and saliva were found, telling investigators that Diana did not go without a fight. She resisted. She tried to survive. But she was overpowered. Diana Namulinde was strangled to death inside the very apartment she called home. When it was over, her body was placed on the bed, upside down, and covered, as though someone was trying to make the scene look peaceful. As though they were trying to buy time. It was a disturbing detail that investigators would not overlook. Whoever did this was not in a panic when they left. They took a moment to stage the scene, and then they took everything they could carry. Gone was her iPhone 17 Pro Max. Gone was her Samsung phone, her shades, her wristwatch, her female bags, 2 black backpacks, and both a white and a coffee brown suitcase. All taken. The apartment that Diana had built into her personal space, her filming location, her home, had been stripped. And when the person, or persons, responsible finally walked out, they left the front door wide open. Not closed, not locked. Open. That single detail, a door left open in the middle of the night, would be the thing that eventually led her friends straight to her body. It would be the thing that broke the silence. It would be the thing that started the investigation that would shake all of Uganda. But on the night of February 3rd, none of that had happened yet. Diana's phone was silent. Her messages were going unread. Her TikTok live had already gone dark. And inside her apartment, behind that open door, the woman who had captioned her last post, "Goddess of Fire," was gone. The world just did not know it yet. By the morning of February 4th, 2026, the silence had become impossible to ignore. Diana had not responded to calls. She had not replied to texts. WhatsApp messages sat unread, the ticks refusing to turn blue. For someone who was always online, always active, always just a message away, this kind of silence meant something. The people closest to her felt it in their gut before they could even explain it. Her boyfriend, Bernard Lukwago, 32 years old, was among those who could not reach her. After hours of failed attempts, he did what anyone desperate for answers would do. He went to Kensington Police Post and reported her missing. He was not overreacting. He knew Diana. And Diana did not go quiet like this. After filing the report, Lukwago made his way to her apartment at Nicholas Apartments in Kianja. When he arrived, something immediately felt wrong. The locking on the door looked unusual. There were signs that pointed to a possible break-in. Before he could do anything further, the caretaker stopped him. "Do not touch anything," he was told. A suspect had already been picked up that morning, found carrying items that were believed to have been stolen. The situation was already in motion. Police accompanied Lukwago back to the apartment. Using a stick, they carefully retrieved the keys from inside the padlocked door. They pushed it open and stepped inside. They found Diana in her bedroom. The woman who had been dancing on camera less than 24 hours earlier was lying in her bed, covered, completely still. She was gone. Her body was there, but Diana was not. The discovery hit everyone present like a wall. There are no words that properly describe what that moment feels like. Walking into a home and finding someone you cared about dead. Neighbor Sean, who had been watching Diana's TikTok live the night before, later described exactly what she had witnessed. Diana had been live, full of energy, and then she simply went offline. 20 minutes passed, then more. Calls did not connect. Messages went nowhere. Sean said Diana would never stay offline that long without a word. That was not who she was. Now they knew why. Diana's body was carefully removed from the apartment and transported to KCCA Mulago City Mortuary, also known as Mulago City Mortuary, for a full post-mortem examination. The results would confirm what the scene already suggested. Diana Namulinde had been strangled. Here is the detail that changes everything. By the time Diana's body was discovered on the afternoon of February 4th, 2026, the man believed to be responsible was already in police custody. He had been arrested hours earlier, before anyone even knew Diana was dead. That morning, at around 9 o'clock, a security guard named Marvin Webisa was intercepted on the northern bypass in Kisasi. He was not stopped by police. He was stopped by his own supervisor. Webisa worked for Gibeon Security Systems and had been deployed at Nicholas Apartments, the very building where Diana lived. That morning, his supervisor spotted him carrying 2 large suitcases and a laptop bag. When asked to explain where the luggage came from, Webisa had no answer. That was enough. He was taken to Kensington Police Post. Under questioning, Webisa confessed to stealing from an apartment nearby. Officers recovered the items he was carrying and began going through them. What they found was damning. Diana's iPhone 17 Pro Max, her Samsung phone, her shades, her wristwatch, her bags and backpacks. Item after item was pulled out and later identified as belonging to Diana Namulinde. The security guard assigned to protect the residents of that building had walked out with a dead woman's belongings stuffed into suitcases. Let that sit for a moment. This man was caught with her things before her body was even found, before her friends reached her apartment, before Bernard Lukwago filed a missing persons report. Before any of that, Marvin Webisa was already sitting in a police post with Diana's possessions. So here is a question for everyone watching right now. If the security guard was already caught with her belongings before her body was even found, what does that tell you about how that night unfolded? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because the timeline here is something investigators could not ignore. Luke Owoyesigir, the deputy spokesperson for the Kampala Metropolitan Police, confirmed to the media that a full team of homicide detectives and scene of crime officers had visited Diana's apartment, documented the scene, and recovered several exhibits. Statements were taken from relevant witnesses. The investigation was thorough and moving fast. 3 suspects were identified in total. 2 were arrested. Webisa was the prime suspect. Then came February 12th, 2026. Marvin Wabisa was arraigned before the City Hall Chief Magistrate's Court in Kampala. The charges read out against him were 3: rape, murder, and aggravated robbery. He stood in that courtroom wearing a red hoodie and striped shorts, with no shoes on his feet. He looked down as the charges were read. He looked small. He looked like someone who had not expected to be standing there. Videos of his court appearance spread across social media within hours. The public reaction was immediate and fierce. People who had followed Diana, people who had never heard of her before that week, people across Uganda and beyond. All of them were watching. All of them were angry. After the hearing, Wabisa was escorted out of court and taken to Luzira prison, where he remained as the trial process began. The community did not stay silent. Neighbors spoke to the media, their voices shaking with a mix of fear and fury. Fellow content creators and influencers across Uganda demanded answers. Women's rights advocates called for mandatory background checks on all security personnel hired at residential buildings. They wanted accountability, not just for Wabisa, but for the system that put him there without proper vetting. Diana had trusted that system. It had failed her completely. On Friday, February 6, 2026, Diana Namulinde was laid to rest in Namayumba Kiampisi, Wakiso district. Hundreds of people came: friends, family, community members, and people who had only ever known her through a screen. They all showed up. The funeral was emotional in a way that words struggle to capture. Videos from the burial spread across social media almost immediately, and what people saw in those videos stopped them cold. Diana's mother wailed. Her siblings broke down. Relatives moved through the crowd holding people up, trying to keep them standing when grief kept pulling them to the ground. And when the casket was finally lowered, Diana's best friend Lydia collapsed. Just completely gave way. The people around her rushed to hold her. It was the kind of grief that has no performance in it. Raw, uncontrollable, and real. Then came the detail that broke people all over again. Reyes, another one of Diana's closest friends, shared their final WhatsApp conversation with the public. In that chat, Diana had reached out just days before her death, asking Reyes to meet up on Friday, February 6th. They had made plans. They had something to look forward to. But Friday, February 6th, did not bring a meetup. It brought a burial. Diana was put in the ground on the exact day she was supposed to be laughing with her friend. Online, the grief was just as heavy. Diana's final TikTok, the one where she danced in baggy jeans and a pink crop top, became a memorial. Thousands of people returned to that video just to leave something behind. The comment section filled up with tributes that are still there today. Rest in heaven, Dia. This is so sad and breaking. R.I.P. Too young to die. May her killers face harsh punishment. The hashtag Justice for Diana Skies began trending across East Africa. People who had never met her, never spoken to her, never even heard her name before that week, they felt the loss. That is what Diana had built, a real connection with real people. And when she was gone, those people grieved like they had lost someone they truly knew, because in many ways they had. Diana Namulinde did nothing wrong. She worked hard, built something real, and shared her life with the people who supported her. But the same content that inspired hundreds of thousands of followers also painted a very clear picture for anyone watching with bad intentions. The cash, the designer clothes, the luxury locations, the international trips. Every post that her fans celebrated was also a signal to someone else. A signal that said this young woman, living alone, has things worth taking. That is a painful truth, and it is one that does not get discussed enough. Diana lived by herself in an apartment building that had security. Most people in that situation would feel reasonably safe. You have a guard at the gate. You have someone watching the building. You go to sleep trusting that the system around you is working. But Marvin Wabisa was that system. He was the security. He was the person residents trusted without question, because that was his job. And because of that position, he had something that no outside criminal would have had so easily: access, knowledge, and time. He knew the building. He knew who lived where. He knew Diana lived alone. He had all of that information simply by showing up to work every day. That is what makes this case so deeply unsettling. Several questions still hang over this story without full answers. Was Diana specifically targeted because of her online profile and visible wealth? Or was she a victim of opportunity, someone in the wrong place at the wrong time? Who is the third suspect that police identified but had not yet arrested as of February 5th, 2026? And were there any warning signs before that night that went unnoticed or unreported? These are questions the trial will need to answer. What is already clear, however, is the gap this case has exposed. Property managers across Kampala and beyond are hiring security personnel without proper background checks, without vetting, without accountability. Residents hand their safety over to strangers and assume the process was handled correctly. Diana's case proves that assumption can be deadly. Fellow influencers across Uganda and East Africa have spoken out loudly since her death. Women's rights advocates have taken up her case as an example of why stronger residential safety laws are urgently needed. The anger in those voices is not just grief. It is the recognition that this did not have to happen, and that it could happen again if nothing changes. Diana's story is not just something to watch and feel sad about. It is something to learn from. Because the truth is, there are practical steps that could make a real difference for content creators, for people living alone, and for entire communities. If you create content online, be thoughtful about what you show and when you show it. Posting about cash, designer items, and expensive purchases tells the world exactly what you have. Consider delaying those posts. Do not share them the moment something happens. Use privacy settings on all your platforms. Avoid showing your exact location when you are filming from home. And consider using a virtual background so that nothing in your space gives away where you live. If you live alone, do not rely only on the security system that comes with your building. Add your own layers of protection. Install a personal smart lock on your door. Set up a small camera at your entrance. Use a door jammer at night. Motion sensors are affordable and easy to set up. These tools put the control back in your hands, regardless of who is or is not doing their job downstairs. For communities and neighbors, look out for each other. Set up simple check-in systems with the people around you. A daily message, a quick call, a knock on the door. If someone goes quiet for too long, follow up. And if you ever notice suspicious behavior from anyone who works in your building, a guard, a caretaker, anyone, report it immediately. Do not wait. Push your property managers to do better. Demand that security guards are properly vetted before they are given access to where you sleep. Ask about background checks. Ask about CCTV coverage. These are not unreasonable requests. They are basic standards that every residential building should meet. Finally, hide your valuables. Use a safe. Do not leave expensive items visible inside your home. Diana deserved better. So do you. That final TikTok video is still up. Right now, if you go to Diana Sky's page, you can find it. A young woman in baggy jeans and a pink crop top, dancing, smiling, completely alive. The comments underneath it have turned it into something else now. A place where strangers go to leave flowers they cannot physically place. A digital grave for someone who deserved so much more time. Diana Namulinde was 24 years old. She was a creator, a makeup artist, a designer, and a businesswoman. She sold jewelry, shoes, bags, and perfumes. She had nearly 200,000 people watching her grow. She had a best friend named Reyes, she was planning to see on Friday. She had a mother. She had siblings. She had a future that was entirely within reach. That future was stolen from her inside the apartment she called home by someone whose only job was to make sure she was safe. Diana's story deserves to be heard far and wide. If this case moved you, if it made you think, made you feel, made you want to do something, share this video. Pass it on. Because awareness is the first step toward change. Subscribe so you never miss another case like this one. And tell me in the comments, what do you think justice truly looks like for Diana Skies?